Today we'll take the journey to Houston, Texas, in the United States of America to meet Stephen Webb, more precise, in Woodlands. Stephen is a diamond scientist and works for the drill bit company Hughes Christensen Corporation, owned by Baker Hughes. They make drill bits. He's the scientist in charge of the diamond cutters on those drill bits, and he has traveled to China over 20 times in the last 5 years, sourcing diamond materials and diamond making equipment. His daughter is a Princeton graduate, class of 2014. She's working in Istanbul for the Atlantic Council. His son is a senior in high school. Stephen is a lone wolf. He prefers to be alone much of the time. He sings a lot. When he's not working, he's an avid cyclist. He rides around his hometown for 3 hours almost every weekend day when it is not raining. He says this is exercise and to relish the fabulous weather of southeastern Texas perpetual summer. Stephen grew up in Toronto, lived in New York, Ohio, and Massachusetts, and he very much appreciates snow, ice, sleet, and clouds. He does his best thinking in Starbucks with a $2.21 coffee and 50-cent refills. He says it's usually free if you smile, and the owner isn't a corporate supplicant to Howard Schultz. He won 9 times through open innovation platform InnoCentive.com and once for Idea Connection. He has made about 130 submissions in the last 4 years. It has been great fun, he says. When I asked Stephen to give a title to his interview, he answered, "Is open innovation a future-dire relationship between engineers and owners that will impoverish scientists?" Good questions. Let's find some answers. There is a time difference bridge of 8 hours to reach Steve in Texas. Let's take the shortcut and meet him now.
Before it was the 4th largest economy in America. Before it took the world to the moon. Before it pioneered the first artificial heart transplant. Built the first domed stadium. Or earned its reputation as the energy capital of the world. Houston was a city of spirit. A city that wouldn't take no for an answer. A city that responded to, "It can't be done," with, "Sure it can, just watch." From the moment the Allen brothers set foot on the banks of the Buffalo Bayou, Houston has been looking forward, moving ahead, making history, building a dynamic and harmonious city where, if you work hard, dreams will come true, where ambition will get you everywhere, where you can be confident that the best days are still ahead. From the bold vision of 2 entrepreneurial brothers grew the Houston we know today. A vibrant city of diverse culture and neighborhoods, where residents enjoy world-class dining, entertainment, sports, visual and performing arts. A city of innovators and visionaries. A city where advancements in technology are helping to build the industries that will shape our future. An international city where companies from around the globe find it easy to conduct business. Houston takes its rightful place as a center for world trade. Houston is a city with dreams even bigger than Texas. A city with dreams as big as the world. Discover the unlimited opportunities awaiting you in Houston. The city with no limits.
Good morning, Stephen. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Good morning.
From our pre-interview meeting, I noticed we share the same interest and fascination for open innovation.
Indeed, yes.
What are you learning nowadays? What are your favorite books, music, films?
I'm trying to learn Spanish for the last year. I've been working on Duolingo and reading a bunch of books in Spanish. And South Houston is a great place to learn Spanish. There's lots of folks around, lots of Latinos, Mexicans, Venezuelans, Central American folks that you can speak with.
Where do you work now? What are you doing for living?
I work for a large corporation in the oil services industry, mainly a drilling company. We supply up the pipes and all the facilities to drill oils to help the contractors and help the oil companies. Mainly for me, I'm the drill bit guy on the very, very bottom of the hole, where they have the drill bit, and I'm at the very, very bottom of the drill bit. That's the cutting teeth, so I'm the diamond guy in this company. Diamond is a hard material used to drill rock, and so that's what I do, and I've done for a long time.
Are you involved in any volunteering activities?
No. Only contributions and donations at work and such, but nothing formal, no.
Isn't submitting solutions for open innovation process without the guarantee of payment for the solver a form of volunteering, an alternative volunteering?
Well, we could debate that, Georgia. I don't think so. I don't think so. I've been doing this OI for let's see. I think my first submission was 2010 to InnoCentive, and I'm working with the ID connection. But no, I never considered it remotely anything to do with volunteerism. It's for profit, for reward, and it's a competitive process. I don't know. It has nothing to do with volunteerism and my perception. You think it's volunteering when you do a submission?
I think that submissions, or at least some of them, the non-awarded, some of the non-awarded ones, holds value. And while the evaluators, the judges, read all those solutions, I think they provide them a lot of inputs and good value for their problems. And as long as they don't pay anything for them, I think it's a way of volunteering.
Yeah, there's been a couple of interesting. There was one guy submitted about, I believe it was malaria, and he submitted a great idea, a cheap idea for helping folks in Central Africa with combating the mosquitoes. And he used clay, a small paper cone, and human sweat to develop a capability to capture and kill mosquitoes at night. And that was one of the early, most creative solutions to a common problem. Indeed, it's a huge problem in Africa. I believe it was rewarded and awarded. There was a gentleman in Cincinnati that I met on Skype. We were doing OI solutions at the time when I lived in Ohio. And yeah, I thought that was a fantastic solution. He won some money for it, but it was a form of volunteerism. Indeed, it was a solution to a terrible problem in the world.
Exactly, this is what I wanted to say. It's a smaller word for a solution that solves a great problem. And this low payment, we can say without being totally wrong that accepting this low payment is a form of volunteering in the end.
Well, he was rewarded, awarded, and yeah, you're right. It was a great, it was a good challenge, a big problem, and it was solved. And that's what OI does. Actually, they almost all the challenges that I'm familiar with, and I'm only familiar with a subset of what the challenges I've seen are huge problems, are insolvable problems, insoluble problems for years and years, decades, in the industries and the technologies and the manufacturing processes. And so they throw them out there and they give us $10,000 reward or something, just to dredge up ideas how to get around these insoluble problems. Some of them are kind of humorous, in fact, but I wish them luck. I don't know where any of these things go. It would be fascinating, for instance, to know if anyone in Central Africa is using this particular paper cone, and I don't know. I don't know. We don't get enough information, so it's an unusual process in that sense. You never know what's going to come of your idea, your challenge, awarded or not. You just never know.
What were the problems you successfully solved through open innovation?
Well, I've had...
You were 10 times awarded.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The biggest award was with Idea Connection, a Canadian OI company out of Vancouver, British Columbia. I've done, I think, 4 challenges with them. Excuse me. The one I won there was for apparently farmers who have flax and rapeseed, and they have a problem separating or at least sorting seeds of high quality and seeds of low quality. And obviously, they don't want to plant seeds of poor quality; it's a waste of time. And so they wanted a model for a process of separating seeds based on density and shape. And I wrote up, I think it was 8 pages on the machine that would facilitate the separation based on density and shape. And these are very small seeds, I think 3 or 4 millimeters.
What to do with all that wastewater? One of your worded solutions.
Indeed, yes, it is. Well, it was obviously wastewater and refuse of all kinds. It's very too varied. So this particular challenge was a particular type of wastewater from industrial effluent that was high in salt, in particular high in sodium carbonate, and they wanted anything to do with this water. What are we supposed to do with it? And I wrote 4 or 5 pages. They thought it was a clever idea. And it was basically to use their water as a saleable, as a special type of water, a low surface tension. It's a super hard water. If you're familiar with hard and soft water, this would be a super hard water that could be used for, I suggested it to be used for jet washing oil tanks, the internal surfaces of oil tanks, where you do not want to form foam, for instance. And they thought that was cute and clever, and I wish them luck. I hope it's working. I don't know. But it was one of those cases where it's a very specific, we have salty water, and we're looking for a place to put it.
What about lightning as an alternative energy source? Another awarded solution of yours.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was, I don't know. Some company wanted ideas for, I don't know if you're familiar with lightning, but you really don't want to be fooling around with lightning. Right? But my guess it's an offshore power company, and maybe
a solution?
I'm sorry, repeat?
Is it a dangerous solution?
Of course. This is lightning we're talking about. But I had an idea for using mercury as a heat capture conducting media that potentially could be safely used to capture small quantities of the impulse from a lightning discharge. It's plausible. You know, Georgia, all my solutions, they're stupid, they're crazy, but I always write them up in a way that it sounds like it just might work. That's exactly what I did with this one. It was hysterical. I wrote in one of the last paragraphs, I think I said, this solution is going to be terribly dangerous. I would not recommend anyone doing this. And then I hit send it off to InnoCentive, and 6 months later I got an award, and I'm still laughing to this day. I hope nobody's been killed.
Let's hope so. We'll hear it at the breaking news, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard anything. I believe that was 5 years ago, and I have not heard a word about anyone using a commercial box to...
Not yet. Not yet.
So I don't think it's been working.
How did the solutions to all these challenges come to you?
Most of them are little bits of experience that I've been in this engineering materials, chemical engineering since since 1986, so 1985. So over the long years in working in various places, little ideas. You walk around, you see someone is doing something in this particular way, and you walk by and say, that's cute, and remember it. So there must be hundreds of those things that I remember. So when somebody wants to collect lightning, I remember that I worked with mercury in grad school. I remember it was a conductor, and it was a high heat of vaporization, and it was calm, and it was just remembering stuff and how everything is learned. Humans are just advanced monkeys. We learn and copy and watch and copy, and we don't forget. And so that's where all these solutions come from. It's just little things. You keep your eyes open and see how somebody fixed this little problem, and yeah, keep your eyes and ears open. Always be awake every morning and every day. That should be the goal, I think.
Where did the seeking organizations that awarded your solutions come from? They were all from the United States?
I have no clue.
With none of them?
I have no idea. I seriously have no idea. I don't know how you know that. They don't tell me. InnoCentive never tells me where any of the seekers, who they are, what they are, unless they're already posted in the challenge. I have
Some seekers made themselves public.
True enough. For instance, I'm working on a challenge for Enel, the Italian power company. But by and large, the challenges I work for, my guess is they're for companies that really don't want to advertise who they are. So it's one of my complaints about OIs is in some sense I'd like to use it as a future consulting platform.
Yeah, it makes it very hard to value the awards because of this anonymous.
Indeed, there's a lot of problems with this process, a lot of advantages and a lot of opportunities, but a lot of problems, and that's one of them potentially, is you never know who you're working for. Could be working for some despotic government in Northeast Africa, for all I know, right?
It's a challenge being responsible, and
it's difficult to be good. Yes, in this modern world, it's difficult to be.
Questions the good side of your intention to make things better.
It's difficult, correct. So we have no idea who these people are, and I have to trust Mr. 𝗵𝗺 and InnoCentive that they're vetting these folks well, and they're not in it just for the money. They're going to be careful, and boy, I don't know. It's got a lot of problems. I could go on and on with open innovation and how I think it could become useful for folks, but wow, it could also be a disaster, I think.
What open innovation platforms do you use?
At the moment, I only use InnoCentive. I tried 𝗫𝗏, for instance, and I found them to be kind of useless. And then Idea Connection, I was there for maybe 2 years, did 4 or 5 challenges with them, but that didn't work out. Well, the one did work out, but mostly it didn't. The good thing about Idea Connections is it's group solutions, so I got to meet a bunch of people. And the bad thing is it's a group thing, so I got to meet a lot of people, and trying to work in groups and solving problems is not very useful in my opinion. Ideas cannot be derived from 100 people in a room. They always come from one. So group solutions to these challenges, I wasn't very comfortable or happy with it. So I'm good with InnoCentive. I'm always looking for other challenges like InnoCentive, but I haven't found it.
Yes, they're not there yet.
Correct. The industry is still a little new.
I feel the open innovation platform started to become more popular at the beginning of the economic and financial crisis in 2007, 2008. It was an economic situation that was an opportunity for these platforms to grow.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way. Maybe it was.
When everybody was looking for cheaper solutions to their growing problems.
Don't tell me that, Georgia. When I hear the word cheap, you know what I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Why did you start solving problems in open innovation? How did it happen?
I had lots of spare time. My kids are older now, and I was looking for something to do. And I think my wife said, why don't you look into some of these challenge-based activities on the internet? And I said, okay, fine. And that's kind of how I got started. But mostly it's idle time for me. My job was not all that difficult, so I do like to keep mental exercise and keep busy.
What motivates you to solve open innovation challenges?
The money. I wouldn't do it if there was not even a remote chance of reward. I wouldn't do it. I would read the problems and I would think about them, but I would not spend.
It's a good incentive.
10 hours. How long did you spend on your challenge solutions?
Time? You mean how much time do I spend to design a solution?
Yes.
It depends. With one of my awarded solutions, I spent 3 hours, but spent months and years of reading.
Indeed.
But it took me 3 hours to download it on paper.
Well, that's time is money, and it requires effort, it requires work, because having an idea and convincing someone this idea is a good idea is a different process completely. It's like a sales pitch. A challenge solution is like an advertisement. It's like a sales pitch. Here's the idea, and the next 4 pages is why I think it's worth you giving me money for it. That's work, that's effort, that's time, and people shouldn't work for free, in my impression.
The most time you spent is not on writing the solution, but on the previous research and
Indeed.
all the knowledge you accumulate.
You could be doing something else and earning money. Instead, you're reading. It's kind of, no one should work for free in this world, and it's an unfortunate and sad fact that a lot of folks have to, and I don't like it.
Do you still solve problems coming through open innovation?
Yeah, absolutely. I just did 2 submissions in the last month to a couple of challenges. I can tell when I got a reasonable chance of winning, I believe, but let me retract that. No, I have no idea if I'm going to win any of these ones. But seriously, George, I got about 130 challenge solutions on a hard drive. I'll be happy to send them all to you if you want to sit down and read them one day. But 130 challenge solutions out there, and I've won 10 of them. And I mentioned that to 𝗪𝗺𝗻𝗻, and he said, "Oh, that's pretty decent, in fact." So I told Michael, I said, "Michael, is this a lottery? Isn't open innovation just like gambling, just like sports betting in a lot of sense? You're betting on who's going to win the game this afternoon."
That's clear.
And he got very upset. He said, "No, this is not gambling, and no, this is knowledge and skills based." And I said, "No, Michael, I don't know. I seriously don't know. There's so many unknowns in this process. Seriously, you could write a solution on how to get energy from lightning, and I could write a solution, but if you guess correctly and you hit on a point that the seeker, whom none of us know, was really, really interested in, you win. Even though I may have had a better solution overall, but because you were lucky enough to address a point in 1 or 2 paragraphs that the seeker was most interested in, then you win." I call that a lottery.
You made a powerful statement in our pre-interview meeting that working for hope is still better than not working at all.
Indeed. If you were unemployed and you had no money, what would you do?
Open innovation is about that in a big way for the moment.
Yeah, Idea Connection, I was in groups of 4 of us, child solving challenges on Skype. We would meet every other week, and I talked to these folks, and almost all of them said the same thing. I got laid off. I'm not doing anything. Fortunately, I collect unemployment insurance. I'm looking to the open innovation as a source of income in the future, if not now. So we need the money. I need the money. And it was an eye-opener for me because, fortunately, I'm lucky enough that I haven't been in that situation. But, oh my goodness, is that why these folks are doing open innovation? And in which case, your comment about volunteerism kind of just rattled in my brain, because that's not the folks that I know of who are doing this. They need money. This is a way to get a job. This is a way to get compensation for skills that you potentially have. In other words, with a PhD and with a degree in engineering, you have a better chance of solving these problems. But hey, any high school graduate could solve these problems too, and potentially win if your idea is better. But they're hoping that they have a better chance of winning money having an education, and it was an eye-opener.
How did becoming an awarded problem solver in open innovation changed your life? What changed after winning so many awards in open innovation?
Nothing very much. No, I don't believe anything has changed.
How do you feel about the open innovation market? Will it evolve? Will the present model survive? Does it have a future?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really hoping, I would like to read more articles. I'd like folks like yourself potentially, or journalists and such, to interview these companies and kind of hear what they're thinking. I haven't read or seen anybody who interviewed the 𝗲𝗏 or the VPs of InnoCentive or 𝗫 or Idea Connection to see what they're thinking. I know they're thinking just pay the bills and make money, and they want to be millionaires, obviously, but what is the future from the point of view of solvers, of folks with no money in the game for versus those, the seekers and who have lots of money, and the IOI companies, which of course are I believe almost all of them are privately held. There's folks who invested a bunch of money in these things. I don't know. I really don't know. What is the solution for these? What's the future going to look like? They've survived for 8 years now. That's a good sign. But the funny thing is Idea Connection, I called them up one time on the telephone, on a real telephone. And they said, well, we're a virtual office. We don't have an office. We have a post office box, but we don't have an office. And I said, what do you mean you don't have an office? It's not even a company? And they said, oh, no, sir, this is the new company. It's not a company with a physical presence in any building anywhere. So we don't pay rent on an office. And I said, what do you mean? They said, all our employees are on Skype in their basements. They work for very, very low wages because we don't have facilities, and it's a virtual company. And that was a new thing to me. I guess I'm catching up to this kind of thing, but this is what these OI companies are. They're not really companies. There's just a bunch of people in their basements or in their apartments hooking up using internet and trying to generate value with this concept of ideas and problem solving. That's the future. None of us need to get out of our beds in the morning. We just stay in there and type away and hope someone will send us money. Wow.
I don't like how it sounds. This vision.
Neither do I, but in some sense, it's a good thing too, because if you ever get involved in Houston traffic in the morning, you say, this is completely stupid that all of us get up at the same time, get in cars, and all drive to the same place. That's physically stupid as well. So telecommuting and globalization, I don't know, it's a good thing too.
You said you are concerned about the impact of open innovation on scientists. Why is that?
If open innovation becomes a great way for companies to do R&D, then they don't need to hire R&D folks anymore. Why do you need to hire American PhD graduates and give them $100,000 salary a year if you can send all your problems to Latvia and have PhD scientists unemployed in Romania and Bucharest and in North China and if they'll work for free, why would you hire somebody? Seriously, why would anybody hire anybody if you can get someone to do it for free? So in some sense, that's a little scary, right?
Do you think it will generate unemployment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If it were to take off, it will generate unemployment. China has taken all the many of the manual factory jobs away from mid-America, from Ohio, and a lot of the Mexico, almost all gear and powertrain parts is being machined and operated in Mexico for low labor. Absolutely. Absolutely. Why wouldn't all intellectual jobs, content jobs, be farmed out to Chinese doctors in Xi'an province that don't have jobs? They read medical x-rays are read by low-paid Indian technicians because American technicians cost too much, and reading an x-ray can be done on the internet. Why wouldn't we just do medical diagnoses on the internet? We don't need doctors. Yes, indeed. This globalization is going to take your job, it's going to take your friend beside you's job, and it's going to take my job. Potentially. So it's open innovation is just a subset of globalization in general, and it has massive potential. Everybody loves having free international phone calls. I've never spoken to anyone from Bucharest before. It's fantastic. But it also has opportunities for exploitation.
It exploits weakness.
Indeed. And that's our system, right? Everyone who is in a situation of weakness will be exploited. That's free enterprise, right? I mean, that's capitalism, right? Yeah. So it has great potential, but it also has great risks. And I kind of vacillate, and I'm not really sure where this is going to go. For me, this is globalization. For my personal, for high technology and technology persons, this is the beginning of us getting it. In the 20 years ago, it was factory workers making lampshades in Ohio, or textile workers and furniture workers in North Carolina. I understand they lost their jobs 20 years ago. I think now it's our decade. It's our turn. Scientists, potentially, this could be our decade for being wiped out by globalization via the internet. And open innovation is just the first door that's open. Maybe.
Do you think open innovation is good for folks early in their technical careers, late career?
If you want to, I believe if to increase your likelihood of success, you need to have seen a lot of solutions and a lot of problems, so that you can grab little bits of solutions from other problems and bring them together and create a 4-page solution. I believe you need to have a lot of experience in that. I think early in your career, you really haven't seen enough. I mean, you're textbook smart, but experience a deficit in experience. So although I believe you should certainly read them all, I think your likelihood of winning is pretty small.
To use the open innovation as a source as a resource for learning.
Indeed, yes, as a resource for learning. Read the following challenges and what do they all have in common for an engineering student, for instance, and you will always notice that there's something in common. They all tend to ask the same the same problem, and they keep coming every few years. In fact, I've submitted the same solution to 4 challenges. Seriously, just change the number on the top of it, and it was the same solution. Because the challenges are very, very similar. There's a lot of problems out there that no one's figured out, and all these industries have them in common. So that could be an educational thing, And let's face it, new engineers, new guys, they really want to know how to get jobs. And if you want to know how to get a job, you have to know how to solve somebody's problem. And to know how to solve their problem, you have to know what their problem is. And so for education for the younger folks, yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea. Here, guys, this is the road to success. This is the road to compensation and remuneration and jobs in this industry. Solve these problems. That's what you're going to end up being paid for anyway. Solve people's problems, and they give you money.
Do you think open innovation is really good for the seekers, or do they consider it low-risk, cheap dredging for ideas?
Good point. A good question, except I'm not sure how much of an... For instance, I believe, but I don't know, that an award for $20,000 costs the seeker $40,000, meaning if you get a $10,000 award for a great solution, InnoCentive gets $10,000. I don't know, their fee, if you will, the finder's fee, their consulting fee, and so therefore it costs the solver twice what the total award money is. I don't know. It could be 100 times for all I know. I don't really know. There's a lot of trust here, by the way. I mean, you won an award, they gave you money. How much of the award did they really give you? Maybe the seeker gave the award was $50,000 and InnoCentive decided just to give you $1,000. How would you know? I don't know.
You won't know that.
Exactly. So that's why I don't understand. So I really can't comment.
Who sets the value for solutions in this market, after all?
Exactly. The seeker obviously begins because they're the ones who bring the money into the game, but then InnoCentive controls everything. Can
influence the value of solutions.
Indeed. And, I understand that they review all solutions, so therefore they pick the ones that they want to present to the seeker. We don't know. We are completely, I wouldn't say the victims in this thing, but we are out of it. They have set up the system that we're not really in the process. And there's a lot of trust. And seriously, I'm so glad I'm not doing this for a living, because this is a terrible, nasty way to earn a living, right? It's like you going to work for 2 or 3 weeks and not getting paid, and then your boss tells you, well, we may pay you. Would you do that? That's what open innovation is all about.
What about the follow-up? Do you have any idea if one of your awarded solutions had been implemented?
I have no idea. None of them. No idea.
Is open innovation a sustainable model in all this context?
Ask me tomorrow and I'll change my story. As of this morning, after a good cup of coffee, I think it's a sustainable business solution. Yeah, I think it's going to grow. and that's why I'm trying to stay involved and stay in it, and I'm always sending ideas to InnoCentive as, you know, hey, why wouldn't you, for instance, use it as a way to farm out technical help part-time, if you will, to companies. You know, basically InnoCentive has a list of email addresses and hard addresses of creative people in the entire world that few other companies have, and they should use this to act as a recruiter, for instance, help get us jobs. For instance, if you want a job, InnoCentive should farm out your CV to companies that might be looking for content providers. Michael said, no, we're looking into that, thank you very much, and go back to and do solutions for us. And so I think they're acting like that. Potentially they could, right? Instead of LinkedIn, go to InnoCentive. Why not? I believe that they're looking hard at that, but I don't know. They don't tell me these things.
What is the future of open innovation in your perception?
Yeah, as I said today, I think it's reasonable, but tomorrow I think it could dissolve and die away. One of the issues is recognize that the challenges have kind of changed in the last 5 years. They are now more these RTP challenges, where the challenges develop an idea to solve this problem and then build a prototype or send us a prototype. That to me I find really annoying, really annoying. But there's a lot of that going on. And then a lot of the challenges are really specific, like it's really tight. So I really can't have a play. Unless you're in the industry, you really don't have a play. You don't have any possibility to win. A lot of them are free challenges, like these very low reward, $10,000, $5,000. I don't even know why InnoCentive bothers with them, because their cut must be very low. So I don't know. On that trajectory, there will be no challenges that I will be of any interest or any possibility to win. Just slowly dissolve away, I guess. At this time, I don't know. I can't predict the future.
What should open innovation platforms be doing to strengthen their business, in your opinion?
Yeah, what they need to do is they need to get to all the R&D organizations of companies, and they need to start pitching their services directly to them as not a piecemeal, one a year challenge kind of crazy thing, but a monthly place to go to get project work done. For instance, we need to make my business. We need to make 𝗺𝗺 instead of paying Steve Webb all this money to make 𝗺𝗺 every week or every month. We should ask InnoCentive, or at least contract with them, to go get Chinese unemployed poor scientists working on this problem every month, rather than just once little, all these things are challenges that they're created, they have a timeline, and then they're dead, and then they move on. And InnoCentive should try and turn this into a more continuous revenue stream rather than just an award, a discrete award. That's what I would do if I was in this company. Is I would say, hey, why would you pay Dr. Webb all this money if you can have 20 Chinese guys working on this problem for free? And even more than for free. They'll work without even a hope of ever being paid, because you can tell them that they'll be awarded if their solutions are good, maybe, and therefore they will work in perpetuity with a hope of being awarded, but you never have to award them. So this is way better than paying Dr. Webb all this money every month that you have to pay, because that's the deal. That's what I would do if I was in this business.
But what about, from the other perspective, their the relation with the solvers. How can they improve the problem-solving process?
Well, from my point of view, go out and get more challenges. More challenges just increase the likelihood of winning. You know, if you don't roll the dice, you don't win. If you roll the dice a lot, your chances of winning increase. So to me, my frustration is you know, guys, go out and get challenges. Get in the car and go visit companies, or get on the phone, visit companies, and get more business. Without business, seekers, we're just going to go away and go back to our regular jobs, right? It's possible that all these unemployed folks could be completely employed in this open innovation process if InnoCentive was really successful. If they got all the companies in Western Massachusetts to sign up and submit challenges every week, every month, the unemployment problem of the technical people is gone. It's fantastic.
What kind of motivation do you think that seekers need in order to engage the awarded solvers in the implementation and development of the awarded solutions?
The problem is they're selling ideas, and ideas are relatively cheap. Ideas that produce parts and machines that actually work and do stuff, or chunks of software that actually do stuff in the real world, is a lot more difficult. It's different work, right? You have to make it work, have to make the idea fit in the system. I don't believe open innovation has a role in that necessarily. I'm not sure. You know, if somebody invents a better software code for doing Skype telephones at some point, there's going to be a bunch of work have to be done by engineers to make it fit. And I don't know that that's commendable to having, you know, Chinese guys in Xichang province working on it. I'm not sure how that fits in. So I don't have a good answer for that.
You have some top questions for the audience, decision makers in general. One of them is, how much is a good idea worth?
Yeah.
That's a very precise question.
Yes, and it's I would never answer. That's one of those political questions you ask Obama. You know, you don't expect an answer, you just expect a speech. It's a provocative question, and you're not going to get a good answer from that. Fair game. But I would ask that question if only to sense what they're thinking and what they're trying to accomplish. If they consider open innovation a foolish, silly little process where we only send our most crazy ideas, like, oh wow, if we could only get, if we could only harness the power of waves with some cheap device, why don't we send that out? Then it's just a cute peripheral process that won't grow and won't solicit much economic activity. If they consider it a process for every day, every week, almost every hour, that's more interesting. For instance, I would be interested and curious as to what the seekers, what these business owners are interested in, what they think of this process. So instead of you interviewing solvers, you should next try and interview, in your next production, you should try and interview seekers. If InnoCentive will tell you who they are, of course.
It's part of the bigger plan. Be sure of that. But also, I also hope that solvers' questions to challenge the seekers and the decision makers to think about some things that are very important for people, for professionals, for economy in general.
Indeed, yes. Are they thinking? Are the R&D managers of major corporations thinking of this process? The ones I know aren't, but
I think that one of the problems. The problems is that they're thinking too much. They go in too many conferences and talk about it. They have a very big problem with implementation their ideas.
indeed, And maybe the experience they get is that, you know, we awarded all these challenges and we tried to implement them and they all failed and burned and crashed. And it's a silly exercise. Maybe that's what they learned. I don't know. You know, go interview the guy from the Enel in the Italian power company. Ask this person, why did you produce this challenge, and why do you think open innovation is the place to put this challenge, and what are you going to do with these solutions? And do you really think this is a serious approach to solving your problem?
Do you think it may also be a good way for companies to experiment in innovation field?
Absolutely, yeah. That's. I think most of them consider that what they're trying to do is they're just concerned, they're worried, what's going on here, and let's try one challenge and just see what it looks like. You know, again, I don't know. Now, for instance, has had lots of challenges out there, and I don't know what came of them, but they keep coming back, so maybe they think that there's value and merit in this process. I don't know. I would really like it if someone would go out and find out what these folks are thinking.
Every business model is based on an owner exploiting weakness in a customer. Yeah. Very good point you said here. Who is taking advantage of who in open innovation?
Oh, well, seekers, business owners are taking advantage of underemployed, bored scientists and technical people in the entire world. Source the world. By the world, they don't mean Silicon Valley. They mean the world. They mean Mongolia. They mean India. They mean Vietnam. They mean the world. There's lots of smart technical people in all these countries.
But couldn't be a quite general lack of creativity that happens in the organization be also an opportunity for the crowd?
Good point. Maybe so. Maybe you got an engineer, Exxon has engineers, and none of them are any good, and they don't coming up with ideas. And out of frustration, Exxon decides to send challenges to InnoCentive. Yeah, that could be. I don't know. As I say, I don't know. I've asked my company several times, would you like to create challenges? We have, for sure, in the diamond world, we have insoluble problems, and I said, oh, why don't we? And they always laugh. They always say, no, it's okay. They think it's kind of silly. They think it's too much Las Vegas. They think it's gambling. It's kind of silly. And, you know, just go back to your lab and do work. So that's good for me. It's nice when your boss thinks you're the best and there's no other options or alternatives, no? That's what we want them to think, and that's nice. But be alarmed. That's what the open innovation is trying to disrupt and unsettle, is that relationship. You know, we exploit the ignorance of our bosses because they think we're the best solutions, we're the best people they can find.
What's your message to the world's influencers and public? Let's start with the human resource professionals. What would you say to human resource professionals and to headhunters?
Well, I would like InnoCentive to become a headhunter.
I would like that too. We are hoping for that since we started to solve challenges there.
Let's face it, our value increases when there are more people trying to contract with us and send us money, right? You and I both, we're all the same. We're all trying to sell our services, what we know, what we're capable of doing, to the highest bidder. It does us no good if folks don't know who we are or what we do. So in a lot of ways, me doing this interview with you and vice versa, we're trying to increase our visibility in the world so that we increase our value to potential seekers. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping InnoCentive will do and can do, is that they'll farm out my resume to other companies, and the companies want to do contract work or other kind of work, we can go direct. That's what I hope. I believe that'll never happen. I believe incentive will always be the friction in the system. They'll always be between the person with money who wants to pay you lots of money to develop video content, Georgia, and yourself. They are always going to want to stay in there because otherwise you don't need them. And that is something they cannot tolerate. They won't be in business long. So I hope they will do that, but I'm not really sure that that's really going to happen.
What about the hen hunters? Nowadays, they hunt by looking at other organizations. I don't think they really hunt value.
Well, my opinion is they don't do anything.
They wait for the value to come from somewhere.
Yeah, I think headhunters are like they're like travel agents, and HR folks, by the way, are being contracted out. I mean, those jobs are going away. Travel agents, those jobs will get washed out. LinkedIn, for instance, is where you find jobs in the technical world these days. I don't believe headhunters are of any use whatsoever.
What's your message to CEOs, boards of executives, decision makers, the leadership side of an organization?
I think they should obviously be apprised of what's going on in open innovation, potentially call in, get the system, find out what's going on, who are the players in the industry, are there competitors using this process, and just keep their eyes open, make sure that they're prepared if this world is drifting in this direction irreversibly, that they be prepared, for instance. I don't want to hear that Exxon has reduced their R&D costs by 50% by outsourcing technical problems to an open innovation platform, and they haven't, right? That would be very bad. So if I were them, I would just say keep your eyes and ears open, be involved, and just keep an eye on what's going on. And maybe if you have crazy problems that none of your engineers have been able to solve, yeah, throw some out there just to test the water, see what kind of solutions you can get. And obviously, if you do get good solutions and actionable solutions, then record it, remember it, and for future reference. One day they're going to send problems to open innovation and say, we don't want to source the world, we just want to source Georgia and Stephen. That will happen one day. It'd be interesting what Idea Connection would say, but you know, we like Georgia's solution the last time, but of course they don't know who you are. But we like that solver solution, and we want to use that person again. Please send this challenge directly to that person. What do you think Idea or InnoCentive would say?
Maybe we should ask them, no?
Yeah, I don't know. We should ask them. But rather than plowing through 50, 60 solutions, why don't you just send this to your top solvers? And I don't want to read 50 solutions. I just want your top guys to solve this, and we'll pay you for that. And I'm pretty sure InnoCentive, like all businesses, is as long as they think it's good for the bottom line and their business model sustainability, they'll do it. I'm hoping they do it.
Maybe they also do some top charts with the solutions for one challenge, for example. On the long run, it's very important input for a solver to know how he or she positions in this open innovation game.
Yes, it would be nice, but they keep us in the dark.
I'm trying to think about the financial efforts involved in doing such a top, for example. Yeah,
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know much. They keep us in the dark intentionally, right? InnoCentive, again, has no intention for us to be aware or apprised of what's going on, right? I don't know. You might have submitted a solution for lightning to energy, and I don't know, right? So there's no way for me to know that all the challenge that I'm working on now, that you're submitting a solution or anybody else's. We just plain don't know, and InnoCentive will like to keep it that way.
What's your message to the leaders of worldwide universities, to the educational system?
Yeah, beware that this process is here and it's not going away, and it has potential to change the way university research is done, which is obviously their number one source of income. U.S. government pays universities to do research work, and maybe the U.S. government would consider sending these research problems to everyone in the world in an anonymous type of platform like this. I don't know. Right? I mean, everybody wants to have better solar energy devices, and why wouldn't the U.S. DOE send a challenge, $1 million to the world, and start looking for better devices? It kind of creates the chaos that is fantastic for generating ideas, and the kind of chaos that governments really won't like. But it's kind of flattening the world, right?
What's your message to the leaders of open innovation platforms?
Well, again, from a seeker's, my point of view is they should be in sales mode. They have a viable concept here. They should be in full blast sales mode. They should actually be hiring people to go get customers and clients, because I don't think a lot of mid companies, small companies really know the process or are familiar with the company. As I say, the companies that I work for, when I float the idea, they kind of just laugh and say, "Oh, that's one of those internet things, right?" And I say, "Yeah, it is one of those internet things." A lot of these companies still think that globalization means factories and hardware in third world countries. They don't think of globalization as ways to address higher intellectual content properties and processes. I think they may be missing that wave. So I would just say, hey, beware that this is coming on. You should consider using this process to solve, to find solutions to technical problems.
You also said to this question in our pre-interview that as another message to them, to become, let's say, monster.com for specialized technical professionals ready to work problems for low pay, but not for zero pay.
Indeed, yes. HR is always interested in getting technical people for lower costs. That's their job. And therefore, they should be aware that this is where open innovation is going. Unlike LinkedIn, for instance, which is not really finding people who are not really finding creative people. InnoCentive is finding creative people. Pretty much only creative people submit solutions, right? So I would be a little worried if I was what's his face, Reed Hastings at LinkedIn, that InnoCentive could morph into a kind of a place where technical people go to be found.
What would you say to solvers and to worldwide talented creative professionals?
Beware, this process is growing potentially, and you should be involved and active in it, so that you have at least the possibility of being visible. If you're not visible, you will always suffer in this economy, and being visible is absolutely essential, and this is one way to do it. Basically, you and I, when we make solutions, we're advertising our capabilities to solvers via InnoCentive, but you got to be visible. If you're not visible, you will be ignored and you will suffer. So I would encourage folks to look at the challenges, and if they feel motivated and if they have the time and circumstance to submit solutions. Not because you're going to win, but because you need the practice and you need the visibility. If InnoCentive doesn't leverage that the visibility, then that would be that would be unpleasant. I am looking to InnoCentive. We are looking to InnoCentive. I hope solvers in general as a way to promote ourselves. If they're not looking at it that way, then they're just in pure exploitative mode. Then I get very upset about. I would be upset about that.
How can people reach you if people want to contact you, to send you messages, to exchange opinions? I don't know. How can they reach you? Your email? Do you have a website?
I don't have a website, but no, I'm everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, and of course I have an email. And yeah, of course I encourage that. I would like to become more involved. It's frustrating that the InnoCentive doesn't do that, right? Originally I thought you wanted to set up these video interviews because you wanted to create a union of technical people in the world. And I thought, this is a great idea, George, a fantastic idea. Imagine if we got organized. If all the top 100 solvers in InnoCentive got organized.
Not necessarily organized, but as a first step, as a community.
Indeed, good point, yes.
I think it's a natural thing that happens automatically with this project.
Yeah, and I applaud it and I support it. I think it's a great idea, and I would love to meet all these people who are getting, these solvers. I would love to meet them. Right now, I see them on the blogs and in LinkedIn. Don't really know who they all are. But we should organize. We should form a union, Georgia, don't you think? You should be the union boss, and if we get a challenge that we don't like, we should send in an InnoCentive and send them a note and say, none of us are going to work on this challenge because we don't like it.
I'll voice record you and I'll send your messages. I can be the postman.
Shh, no, I never said that.
It was great talking to you, Stephen.
Thanks very much to your production crew back there, those two folks.
Thank you very much, Stephen. It was very nice talking to you.
All right, goodbye.
At the end of the day, solvers are ordinary people. By the act of engaging in making things better, in innovation, it reveals their exceptional characters. And by making this step forward, they take the act of continuous learning to the next level. We are solvers. We take innovation personally.